was tired and scared. I had been arrested. I had been chased. We were in a terrible car accident at the Selma Curve. I hurt my back. I ended up having to have back surgery. So I was ready to go home. But I had many mixed feelings about it.
Maria GITIN came all the way from California to take part in the civil rights movement in Alabama.
This past Sunday, thousands of people marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and through Selma in honor of the 47th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday Civil Rights March.
In 1965, the police attack on peaceful protesters outraged and motivated college students like GITIN just to do something. So GITIN left California and spent the summer in Wilcox County, Alabama to register voters.
Now, GITIN was back in Alabama recently and sat down with Eric Reynolds to talk about her unforgettable summer. Here's the interview.
Bloody Sunday. I think it's what motivated a lot of people. That scene on the bridge with the dogs and the tear gas and the troopers riding over innocent women and children, unarmed protesters, it just brought up this moral outrage. So I knew I wanted to do something.
Maria GITIN was a 19-year-old college student in San Francisco when she took the first steps of an unforgettable summer. To do something, she sought out the civil rights activists on campus. They showed her a message from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
It was just like one of those military recruitment ads. He said, "We need you to come and help make our students safe. We need you white kids to come down this summer and help register voters." That is how I heard it. He was definitely talking to me. I had no clue. I was going with the same kind of inspiration that I would think that a young soldier who just thought, you know, my country's at war and I have to go. I grew up with an awareness that even if you are doing everything right and the best you can, that you could be discriminated against in some horrible, life-threatening way. So I had a strong sense of that injustice. I had a personal sense of injustice. I identified with people who were being mistreated for no reason, and I identified with people who had less than.
In Maria's community, her classmates were the children of World War II era imprisoned Japanese Americans. And there were Jewish children whose elders had survived the Holocaust and others who had fled Russia from Stalin's purges. She signed up for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference's 12-week summer program called SCOPE and headed cross-country to a civil rights boot camp in Atlanta.
It was 5.5 days, 14-hour-a-day. We had this intense orientation. Ralph Abernathy, Andy Young, Jose Williams. We had Dr. King himself telling us how to act, trying to give us the complete history of the South, things we had never learned in school. It was just this total indoctrination. I was very inspired. They encouraged the white students to think of ourselves in a dual role. One of them was that because we were white, we were likely to bring media attention and hopefully federal protections.
But urgently true.
We were coming into essentially a war zone, and we were not there but 2 hours when there were Klansmen outside with guns, firing guns in the air, and I like roll under a church pew, and I was laying down there praying, and you know, that night they went away, but that was my, you know, welcome to Wilcox County. We know you're here, and it was continuous, daily harassment, arrests, beating, cars trying to run you off the road, and then just constant kind of threatening intimidation. We had a terrible sheriff, Lummy Jenkins, who was as bad as anybody in Mississippi, had a horrible reputation, and just lived to intimidate and torture people, basically. So it was a very heightened situation.
The college kids, 2/3 of them white, were brought in under the cloak of darkness to register voters.
Wilcox County was and still is about 79% black. When we arrived, there were 50 people registered. So we were having to ask people to go risk their lives to be possibly put out of their houses, and there was no protections. When we left, there were 500, so that was a practical result.
So far, nobody asked me why.
I asked GITIN what were her feelings when the freedom summer of 1965 ended.
I was tired and scared. I had been arrested. I had been chased. We were in a terrible car accident at the Selma curve. I hurt my back. I ended up having to have back surgery. So I was ready to go home. But I had many mixed feelings about it. And we left feeling in some ways that we were abandoning people, even though we were just kids and we had only signed up for the summer.
The folks they helped in Wilcox County did not feel abandoned. They told Maria GITIN they felt encouraged.
You're just coming and being here. Nobody had ever talked to us like an equal before. And just sitting down at our table and eating with us and being willing to use our outhouse and sleep in our beds and just be regular people, that was a big help.
In Mobile, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
GITIN has turned her notes from that 1965 experience into a book, and she's working to get it published.
And since then, she has spent a lifetime fostering diversity with corporations and nonprofits.
He arrived during probably the most tumultuous period in Bishop State's 85-year history. But James Lowe says he saw a commitment in the faculty and staff that convinced him to work hard with them.